Before we begin today's vlog, I want to take a moment and recognize and send my prayers and my thoughts out to everyone in France who's watching, or specifically everyone in Paris. For those of you who heard about the terrible attacks that happened just a few days ago, I think, let's all send out our prayers, and let's show our support the best we can in the comments below, and then really do pray for Paris and pray for the world. There's still a lot of evil out there that's trying to get in and trying to get a hold, and prayer is one of our most powerful tools, because prayer can often turn into action. So but before we started the vlog, I wanted to start off on that somewhat serious note, but Paris, we're praying for you and we love you. Now, vlog time. Good morning, dum-dums and linear sums. Are linear sums a thing? I don't know. So I don't know if this has ever happened for you, but there are times in life when you look back and you can so clearly see how God has been working in your life. And you maybe didn't realize it at the time, but in hindsight, when you look back, you can so clearly see how God has been orchestrating this thing in your life the whole time. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but that's happened to me several times. And today on the vlog, I want to tell you a story of when that happened to me and my family. So that building right back there is the church that I grew up in. I know it's really big. It's a church called Willow Creek Community Church. Maybe you've heard of it. And the story I want to tell you today, it starts long before I started going to Willow. You see, when I was growing up, the idea of church was really more of a tradition that my family did. It was just the thing that a middle-class, upstanding, white suburban family did. We go to church pretty much every Sunday, unless it was the summer or unless we didn't really feel like it. And I grew up going to a more traditional type of church. And there wasn't anything wrong with this church whatsoever, but I didn't really look forward to going every week. So when I got to 8th grade and graduated, my parents gave me a decision. They say, you're going to be in high school now, and it's your choice whether you want to come or not. And I made the decision, heck no, I ain't coming to church. But then, just a couple weeks later, I went to a summer camp where most of you know was the first time that I accepted Jesus into my heart. So at this point, I didn't really know what to do, because I was 14 years old, I was a brand new Christian, and I was really the only committed follower of Jesus in my family. So even though I was really excited about this new faith I had, I really didn't have anyone to guide me along and tell me that, oh, church might be a good idea, getting into community might be a good idea for you. So that whole first year of high school, I didn't really go to church at all. And with that came high school. And with high school came all of the temptations and difficulties that any teenage boy struggles with. And over the course of that first year of high school, I sort of strayed away from my faith. And I was still proclaiming myself as a Christian, but all of my actions and the way that I spoke and the way that I treated people certainly did not support that. And it wasn't until my sophomore year of high school that one of my friends approached me and asked me about being on the drama team for children's ministry at this place called Willow Creek. I liked drama, I liked acting, I would take any chance to be on stage, so I said yes. And every Sunday morning I started showing up bright and early to this church, and I would serve on their drama team. And as the years of high school went on, I continued to work and serve in that drama team, and I continued to call myself a Christian. But that was really just on Sunday. And then the other 6 days of the week, I was still struggling with all of those same things that a lot of teenage boys struggle with. And at that time, when I started serving on that team, my family had pretty much stopped going to church altogether. And I wasn't actively inviting my family to join me at Willow Creek. I wasn't even going to the Sunday services. I was merely going there to hang out with my friends and to be on stage. But because I have such amazing parents and they're so supportive and have always been so supportive of everything I do, they said, oh, our son is spending a lot of time here, maybe we should go and check it out. And so they started going to Willow. And right around that same time, one of my little sister's friends came up to her and asked if she wanted to come to this thing called Elevate, which was the youth ministry at Willow Creek Community Church. So all of a sudden, over the course of a couple months, my entire family is going to this church, Willow Creek. And what I watched happen over the next 3 or 4 years is I watched as God began to work in the lives of my family members. The youth ministry at this church had a huge impact on my sister. And just a couple years later, she committed her life to Christ and she was baptized. And now, today, Kayla is a hugely committed follower of Christ. She majored in music and worship at a great Christian school, and she's working as a worship pastor. And what happened with my parents is even crazier. My parents start going to Willow. And then they start serving at Willow. And then they start taking classes. And then a few years later, my mom calls me and tells me that she stood up at the end of the service to commit her life to Jesus. And a few years later, I hear that my dad has done the same. And then just a year and a half ago, I get a phone call from my sister that tells me that my parents are getting baptized. And I remember calling my mom after that happened, and I remember the conversation I had with her. She said, "I've never told you this before, but right around the time that you started serving at Willow, your father and I were going through a really rough patch in our marriage." And then she said, "And over the years of going to Willow, the church has played a huge part in your father and I finding restoration in our marriage. And now we're stronger than ever. And we never would have done that if you hadn't started serving." And the beauty of this story, I think, is that I wasn't even trying to evangelize or witness to my family. In fact, I was living in open rebellion to God. But in spite of my rebellion, God still used me, even against my will, in a small way, to provide a spark to touch the lives of my family members. And I think this story is the perfect example that the glory can never go to me or to us, but that the glory always goes to God whenever a life is changed. And the title of this vlog is How I Saved My Entire Family. And I hope you know me well enough at this point to know that I don't believe that that is true whatsoever. The truth is that I did not save my family whatsoever. I played the smallest part in it, and it was an involuntary part that I might have played in it. The truth is that God saved my family, and this church saved my entire family. And eventually this church was a huge part in me turning my life back over to God and deciding to quit that hypocritical life I'd been living for so long. And this is my first Sunday back here in a long time, and as I was here, it got me thinking of that story, and I wanted to share it with you all because who knows who it might encourage today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I love you. Keep being awesome.
Is he vlogging today?
He said he was.
If so, you should get a shot of him sweeping downstairs.
Shh, don't tell the family.
Baby.